Alright, so I have finished translating the patch notes. We are getting all of this on this week's patch, 29th. So starting with the earrings. So we're getting 6 earrings. And we have stats for the level 1 equivalent and where you can get it from. So 2 earrings, you get it from 4-star dungeons and the All Things NPC that you trade the coins for. And you get 2 from Nebula Conquest chest, Arena Season, and the Nebula bosses, Grimturk and Exodus. And then we get 1 from Cody, 1 from Deluz Noah. And the chest is not going to be retroactive. The ones you've hoarded is not going to contain the earrings. It'll have to be post-patch. And these are the new earring synergies. Attack, defense, support. So red, blue, yellow, HP and fort. You get HP and hit, damage reduction, fort, damage reduction, hit, crit, fort, crit, hit. And your general buffs for the directional attacks. So when you do back attacks, you're gonna gain plus 3% hit, 3% crit, 3% shield pen. We don't know if this is flat amount or based on your current stats yet. This needs to be tested. And the SNS, if you're facing the target, the frontal damage taken, you get extra 3% shield block chance. Okay, moving on to weapon changes. Starting with SNS, your strategic rush, you're gonna get new spec that costs 5 points. So when you do your front attacks, it'll apply. You have 80% chance to apply 30% shield pen. It doesn't stack with the move speed reduction specialization. And on your chain hook, you get a new spec as well. On back attack, you get a damage reduction plus 25, and you have 80% chance to apply it. Shield throw, new spec, 5 points. On side and back attacks, it reduces the target's endurance by 300 for 6 seconds with 80% chance. And it does not stack with the whirling shield. So this is a single target. The Bastion, on the skill itself, you get a plus 20 damage reduction. The frontal damage reduction. And if you use the specialization that buffs yourself only, it's going to be plus 28. And if you use the attack buff, you don't get the damage reduction buff. Annihilating Slash. On side and back attacks, you have 80% chance to apply it. The move speed reduction for 3 seconds. And your Jared passive. Additional effect. So if you get attack from the front, frontal damage taken, you get extra plus 3 CC resist. Stacks up to 10 times. So 30 total. And GS, Da Vinci, your damage reduction spec is going to give you additional plus 10 frontal damage reduction. And Ascending Slash, plus 1 second prone duration if you back attack the target. But does not stack with the spec that increases the duration with heavy attack. Yeah, the Charging Slash spec, if you back attack, it's gonna have plus 300 hits. Shockwave, your stun. If you back attack, duration increases by 0.5 seconds. Does not stack with the duration spec. And your Devo is going to have plus 20 frontal damage reduction, but you also get a 45-second debuff so that you cannot get debuff from other players' devo. But from the same caster, it ignores the debuff. So even within 45 seconds, if it's the same caster, he can reapply the devo. So this is gonna make 2-2-2 into more of a 1-2-3. 1 tank rotating devo, 2 healers and 3 DPS, I think. 3 healers? Yeah. Well, anyway, you don't have to force 2 GSs in your party anymore, I think. It can be 2 healers, 3 healers. They fixed the Will Breaker animation getting cancelled with the mastery that allows you to cast while moving on the bottom right. This one. This was bugged with the Will Breaker. They adjusted range for the second cast of your dash. They say they adjusted. I don't know if they increased it or decreased. We'll have to check in game. Cold Warrior have 7% chance to apply shock on back attacks. But as of now, we know that Cold Warrior is broken. You also need to test this after patch, otherwise useless. Indomitable Armor, proc chance increased by 10% if you take damage from the front. And that's it for GS. Daggers. Daggers get a lot of buffs. Shadow Strike. Instead of going behind the target, like the opposite of the target, you always TP to the back. So I'll just pull my paint out just to explain again. So currently, if that's your target, and your target is facing this way, and that's you with the dagger, if you Shadow Strike him, you're gonna end up here currently, but his back is here. So instead, you're gonna always TP to the back. So yeah, that's the change. Same thing applies to Shadow Frenzy, Sword Dance. Your last hit will always end up on their back. And for 2 seconds after that, all your attacks are considered back attacks. Like all of your attacks. Pretty huge buff. Your Brutal Incision. If you back attack, you gain plus 200 hit. On Thunder Bombing, if you do back attack, you get an additional damage. Depending on the Lightning Infusion stacks, between 90% plus 19 to 130% 43. Your cloak duration has been nerfed from 10 seconds, 10.5 to 7.5, and the duration increase spec nerfed from 2 to 1.5 seconds. Your Wrathful Edge added effect so that if you back attack, you gain plus 120 hits. Assassin Stab, your first hit is always considered back attack instead of not consuming mana. That is gone. Your Umbral and Thunder Spirit, there's a bug. They fixed that the damage ignored endurance and evasion. Phantom Smoke Screen, there's a new spec. If you're inside the smoke, you gain plus 300 hit, and all hits are considered back attacks. So if you're hitting enemies inside the smoke. Okay, next, Staff, your Chain Lightning. If you back attack, you gain plus 50 hit, a 150 hit. Fireball Barrage, if you back and side attack, you gain plus 10% damage. Your Ice Spear is going to ignore shield block chance if it's back attack. This applies to your Ice Bombardment and your Lightning Bombardment from the Mastery. Inner Peace, the Thunder Blessing spec is going to have this new effect, 90-degree frontal cone attack. Forbidden Sanctuary passive, side back attack gain plus 90 crit. Yeah, so only thing that's noticeable is gonna be like the Ice Spear. Like it does 0 damage to tanks right now, but you're able to ignore the shield block and do some damage if you back attack. And this is more of a PvE buff as well, the 10% damage. Not really strong in PvP. Wand, a bit of interesting changes. Obliteration Swamp, that's when you turn your fountain into DPS. Fixed an issue that ignored evasion and hit. Your Invincible Wall gonna have new spec to increase side and back attack, side and back evasion and endurance plus 50. Time for punishments. On the tooltip it says on back and side attacks do 200% of base damage. Now we don't exactly know how this is gonna work out. I wonder if this is gonna apply to all of your party members' attacks or just yourself. It's gonna be based on their damage or your damage. It sounds pretty OP, but we'll have to see in game. Corrupted Obliteration, there's a DPS version of Swift here. The side and back attack is gonna give you 10% mana, and it's gonna only apply once. You can cast 3 times, but apply once. Vampiric Contract, your back side attacks is gonna give plus 10% of the healing. That's the lifesteal, the healing amount. And Swift Heal, now on multi-cast, it doesn't increase the mana cost. It just now reduces healing amount. So as you can see on second cast, from 610%, 420%. Third cast is halved from 610 to 305. But you're no longer going to have like a mana problem using Swift Heal. Okay, yeah, so crossbow or weak point shot. When you land your weak point shot with either side or back attack, the crit damage increase effect increases by 3%. So yeah, PvE buff. Your Selfless Diffusion, there's a new spec, costs 5 points. For the buff duration, the directional attack always favors you. That's how it's worded. So I assume because it's your attack's gonna do back attack and side attacks regardless of the position. Your Nimble Leap, the move speed inside Whirlpool if you have the spec, nerf from 20% to 15%. Wind Snatcher move speed from 50 to 30% nerfed. The Agile Strike Mastery, also the move speed gain is from 3% to 2%. And the Mirage Dancer Mastery on the bottom left, move speed on evasion from 10% to 8%. Next we have Bow ensnare arrow. If you hit him with side or back attack, you have plus 10% hit chance on the ensnare. And deadly marker, targets with deadly marker. If you hit them, you gain crit on back and side attacks. They haven't mentioned how many in patch notes. We'll have to check this in game. And blitz, you can no longer blitz. Reset the Fountain of Life. Next is Spear. Currently with burst stacks, there was a bug. They fixed an issue that it ignored weaken resist. Blood Leech Aura. Now this is probably the most important change that's going to impact the meta. Added the effect to reduce healing over time stacks on hit. So basically you remove healing touch stacks with the hit of Blood Leech Aura. Must take. So technically if you have 3 GS, pop Blood Leech at the same time and jump one target, they'll lose all of their healing touch stacks. Spear, sorry, my bad, spear, yeah. And this goes on for normally like 5-6 seconds, right? Blood Leech, it goes on from 5 seconds. I'm not sure if this gets affected by buff duration. It doesn't work, okay. So 5-second default. You can potentially remove 5 ticks of healing touch or per target. If there's like 20 targets, it's 20 times 5. So this is gonna greatly decrease the sustain overall. We might see more Spear GS, more SNS Spear. Yeah, healers will choose to have Sweep to heal now. Yeah, this doesn't necessarily counter it, but it's something. It's gonna overall reduce the sustain, for sure. Anyways, moving on. Abyssal Cleave. Now there's a new effect that it'll push the target for 1 meter and the target faces the push direction. So for example, if that's you and that's the target and target is facing you, you Abyss Cleave them, the target gets pushed away and is now facing this way. So you have their back. But still, I don't think this skill gonna be used much. Same thing for the Tempest Strike. If you push them, the target is going to face the push direction. Rising Slash on your second attack, you gain plus 300 crit if it's a back attack. And Mortal Wrath. This is a kind of a buff to GS spears. Now 30% chance to proc on side back heavy attacks instead of crit. If the target is below 30% HP, you can proc on heavy attack, any heavy attack regardless of direction. So from crit to heavy attack. So this will also now going to be applied to gladiators. I normally don't have this because we don't have crit. Gale Rush fixed an issue where the effect didn't proc on ally if they had target selected. And Malice Surge now also increases all back heavy attacks. At max level, it'll be 106. The overall mastery, lightning speed, they fixed an issue where it ignored target evasion and endurance. And we also get new stat threshold for 80. So 80 strength, you get max HP 450, heavy attack 60. 80 dex will give you crit 60, bonus damage 9, 80 wisdom, max mana 450, CDR 3%, 80 perception gives you hit 60, buff duration 3%, 80 fortitude gives you endurance 60, and heavy attack evasion 60. And yes, with all these directional attacks, we are getting directional indicator in settings. In settings, you go character, you go attack, there will be an option to tick this. And finally, nerf to Archman Crossbow. The skill effect only applies during selfless diffusion. So from Archman, from being OP, now it's just good. Like, it's not gonna kill Archman. They're gonna be a very strong weapon regardless. It's just now gonna give you the burst effect during selfless. Nerf the Cody, unfortunately, nope.